Folks, welcome in to sportsbookreview.com. This is your Major League Baseball show. It's 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on a Tuesday, August 25th, 2020. Jason, can you believe it already? We are at the midpoint of the season with only 60-game sprint. We're heading down the backstretch. The numbers are there for us to get after it. Guys, if you're just watching now, I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, and we are going to kick it off 30 minutes, cover this huge baseball card. Jason, how are we doing today, brother?
Yeah, wow. Already halfway through the MLB season.
Crazy.
And we have no All-Star games, so kind of, a little sad, but I'm not sure any Met would make the All-Star game. Of course, there would need to be one, and that would be Jacob deGrom, of course. But it's been a wild ride. We have some stats now to back up our thought process. I'm not sure that's really benefited us, or at least me, in the last couple of weeks, but looks like we'll get back on track this week.
I'll tell you what's interesting, because even saying like we're at the halfway point, like legitimately, Jason, we should be like May 1st right now, right? Through 30 games, April, just hitting our stride and have a whole couple months to make adjustments. There are no adjustments. You're halfway through. Now you're heading down the backstretch. The trade deadline coming up in about a week. So a lot of things moving fast and furious. 78 people already here in the chat box, 1 minute into the show. If you haven't done so yet, guys, hit that subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell when Jason and I go live right here on the Major League Baseball show, which is Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. You'll get it delivered directly to your inbox. David, Daniel, Jose, Tori, Sabino, Cream of Wheat, David, and Chad all in the chat box. We are ready to go. A huge card today, so we'll try to hit the speed burner and get through enough games to put that money back in your pocket here. But I got to say, last night, though, you know what was good last night, Jason? Nice, easy one on the Astros, though, right? Feels good.
Yeah, that was fun. The Astros were great. Early runs, but almost blew that game in the fifth inning with Valdez. So, of course, I'm thinking here's my luck again. Like, all my analysis, always on point, and then somehow, some way, I find a way to lose. But somehow I got that 5-4 win in the first 5 innings. Just how it's been going lately.
Yeah, hey, look, man, sometimes when you win that money, you lose a couple pounds in the process. Everybody's a winner in that spot. Let's get right off to the card today. We're going to start down in Washington here, Jason. 9:51, 9:52. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Washington Nationals, Arrieta versus Fetty. About 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the hometown Washington Nationals. Now, you do have a little bit of line movement here. Opened up offshore at SBRodds.com, roughly a pick 'em. Now we're seeing that movement toward the Phillies, -125s, -130s across the board. But a high over-under, and reasonably so, at 10.5. You're looking at a great hitting environment down there. You got the heat, you got the humidity, 2 questionable pitchers. We'll see if that Phillies bullpen is now ready to break out in the second half of the season now that they have some arms. But when I look initially on this, I lean right back to what I like the best. First 5 innings here, I want those Phillies batters going up directly against Fetty. I think they can get 2 runs or 2.5 runs over the first 5 innings. I'm going to go Phillies team total, Jason, over 2.5 in the first 5 innings. Which way are you looking at on this game?
Yeah, I like the Phillies here, and I was even thinking over 5 team total for the Phillies in the game. I like the Phillies to win on the money line. Kind of confusing how you just said how the Nationals have more tickets. That's probably because Fetty 2.55 ERA. But you go to his FIP. His FIP is 5.61.
Correct.
Yeah. Arrieta 4.95 ERA, but a 4.32 FIP. So Arrieta a bit unlucky. Fetty very lucky this season. Fetty's a guy allows high walks, low strikeout numbers, does get a high ground ball rate, which obviously concerns me. Of course, guys like that, like Anderson last night for the Brewers, got a ton of ground balls. Not the best pitcher, a high amount of contact, but able to get those ground balls, and that's what kind of helped the Brewers win that game. So that's the one reason I'm staying away from this game, because of his ground ball rate. Obviously, I don't think Fetty's going to be in for that long, so maybe 3-4 innings at most. I don't think he'll get 5 or beyond that in this game. Righties are hitting .316 against Fetty this season. But like I said, 5 earned runs in 17.2 innings. He has 9 walks and just 5 strikeouts on the season. Hasn't looked good at all. I know Arrieta, a guy that he's up and down throughout the entire season. But for Arrieta, he's got to get the high amount of ground balls as well. Obviously, won't get many strikeouts. Does have a high Sierra, but a low enough walk rate as well. So for me, I think the Phillies have the edge here, especially in the first 5 innings. Of course, we don't want to worry about those Phillies in the bottom half of the game. But yeah, Arrieta has the edge over Fetty here.
No, I agree with you there. And also, I think that free ride from the Phillies bullpen, I like to talk about, it was a great run if you had it. No matter what happened, the other teams, the opposing team's team total always came in, because if you had 2 or 3 innings out of the Phillies bullpen, you're almost looking at a dead 3 runs or even more during those times. So we'll see if that changes up today. I like the Phillies a little bit today, like their team total a little bit better. Thank you for guys, the kind words in the chat box. Jose Farfan, best show in town. Ulysses Hayes, hey guys, love the content. David James, yes, excellent show. Houston was strong. Shaheem Taylor, hey Donnie, Jason, let's get some winners today. So some people checking in, and that's what the design of the show is. Maybe you hear something you like, maybe you see something you didn't think of, but also the chat box comes in strong because you share your opinions. We read the chat box. Everybody in the chat box is reading the chat box while listening to the content. It works out perfectly. Let's keep going. 953, 954, Boston and Toronto. Hart versus Anderson. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the hometown, or should I say the sort of hometown team, the Toronto Blue Jays in Buffalo. They open up at 127 offshore. Not a lot of line movement here. 128s, 129s, but how about this team total? And if you guys didn't know, watch any games yet in Buffalo, that is a wind tunnel blowing out with some power alleys that you can launch. That's why this opens up at 10.5 and now sits at 11.5. It's amazing. This isn't Coors Field. This isn't Fenway, but this ball's flying out. And you take a look at 2 pitchers, specifically Hart as well. He can be hit. You could stack right-handed batters for the Blue Jays, but I got to tell you, I don't have a great feel in this game. 11.5 is a little bit too rich for me, even though, Jason, I do think they get runs here.
Yeah, so I got the Blue Jays minus 118 in the first 5 innings. So again, the Blue Jays in the first 5 innings at minus 118. I'm going up against Kyle Hart. You know, we talked about him being Kevin Hart on the show before. A guy with an 11.12 ERA and 8.29 FIP. So again, an 8.29 FIP in 2 games started, went just 5.2 innings in those 2 starts. Has a walk rate of 11.12, which is the same as the ERA. So he's walking a ton of batters. Obviously does have a high strikeout rate as well at 14.29. But when you get contact versus Kyle Hart, that ball is going out of the park. It's going places deep in the outfield. He's allowed 3.18 home runs per 9 innings. Of course, he's only went 5.2 innings on the season, but that just goes to show you what the Blue Jays can do early in this game against Kyle Hart. Chase Anderson on the mound for the Blue Jays has a 2.79 ERA, a 5.66 FIP. Yes, he's been lucky this season, of course. Just has a 6.52 K per 9 innings, 2.79 walks per 9 innings, also allowing nearly 2 home runs per 9 innings as well. But this is a guy he's escaping with his starts. 1 earned run in less than 4 innings. Guy that just the game totals with him on the mound 2-1. 3-2, a 3-2 in the first 7 games. So these are all low-scoring games for Anderson when he's on the mound. So I expect Anderson to be able to keep the Red Sox in check for at least 3-4 innings. We talked about that Blue Jays bullpen. They have one of the better FIPs in the league this season as well. So even if Anderson has to come out those first after 3 innings, can't go 5 innings, I trust that the Blue Jays will throw in an arm that can get the job done for the 2 innings that he's not pitching. I don't trust the Red Sox bullpen, of course. Kyle Hurt, I don't trust. I don't trust their bullpen as well. So I really like the Blue Jays here at minus 118 in the first 5 innings. I also agree with the money line. I do. It's obviously risen a little bit at around minus 130 now. But again, the Blue Jays have the better bullpen than the Red Sox do. Also have the better pitcher. Also have the better hitting. The Blue Jays are a little bit hot now. They're over 500. So I expect them to want to stay over 500 in this game. So I like the Blue Jays all around.
No, it makes sense here. DX Fowler checking in. He says hello, but Ulysses Hayes also echoes that same sentiment here. Sox bullpen isn't good. Take the Blue Jays full game. I actually like them full game as well, because when you're bringing up components on chances to win, if you're breaking down football, how's offense go against defense, but also you have special teams. If you're taking a look here at Toronto, I think the starting pitcher is better. And also when you take a look at me just saying, I think the free reign is over for that Phillies bullpen with scoring a lot. Why is that? We have to take a look at the same thing. Boston's bullpen wasn't great to begin with. Now you take 2 workable components out of that bullpen, and what you're left with is a good shot through all 9 innings. I think you're on the right track here. First 5 innings and also full game. I agree with that totally. Minnesota and Cleveland, 957, 958. If we take a look at the pitchers here, the lefty Rich Hill's on the mound versus Bieber. 6 out of every 10 tickets coming in on Cleveland. They open up around 165 offshore, still sitting in that same range. Chris showing the high of 170, 5 times at 163. But how about this? A total that opens up at 8, Jason, now sits at 7.5. So I went on 5 times, bought it up a little bit here. I'm going to stick with the first 5 innings and go under 4.5 at minus 135. I think both of these pitchers, like Cleveland's offense, I'm not just going to wait for it to wake up and say, this is the night they do it. They don't do it. So I'm going to say Bieber should be able to hold down those Minnesota bats at least through 5 innings. Maybe we get a 3-1 game, a 2-1 game after 5. I'm going to sit on that first 5 under 4.5 minus 135. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so you're right on with this. The Indians are easily the favorites. Bieber hasn't lost a game since he's been on the mound this season, but it's not like the Indians are scoring many runs when Bieber's on the mound. So Bieber, he's having these perfect outings, and the Indians score 1, 2, 3 runs. Well, let's say Bieber gets hit by the Twins a little bit in this game, things can turn around because the Indians' offense is not hitting at all. So I agree, there's not going to be many runs in this game early. Maybe the Twins come out on top in the end. Obviously, Bieber and the Indians haven't lost a game with him on the mound. So, I mean, it's a tough one. I prefer the Indians here, but there's value on the Twins for sure. Of course, Hill does have a 5.65 FIP in 2 games started this season, striking out just 3.52 and walking 4.7 per 9 innings. So hasn't been good at all, but the Indians' offense has been brutal all season long. So one's going to have to give. It's either going to be Hill is going to pitch well or Indians are going to hit. And I'd probably side with Hill on this one.
And I agree. I tend to agree with you on that because, again, we joked about yesterday, like Nelson Cruz probably going to pop up with a home. Of course he did yesterday, and he'll probably do it again today. So that Minnesota lineup, no matter who they're going up against, they're going to give you honest at bats 1 through 9. Some good stuff here in the chat box here. Sammy Salem just comes out of nowhere. Is Flash in here today? Of course, Flash chimes in 3 sentences later. Yes, Sammy, he's here. So, hey, we all pull for each other here at sportsbookview.com. If you're watching the soccer shows in the morning with Flash, you're doing it wrong. If you're not watching Jamming with Jay Money at noon, trying to get that NBA money, you're doing it wrong. And also, if you're not watching Major League Baseball right here at 1:30 p.m., you are doing it wrong. Let's keep going here. A lot of games to get through. The New York Yankees and the Atlanta Braves, 961, 962. Cole and Anderson on the mound. Not a huge number here when you take a look usually what Cole gives, but obviously Atlanta is a good baseball team. Aaron Judge supposedly back in the lineup today, looking at a minus 175 to minus 185. The young kid Anderson, trying to go back and look at some of his statistics from down in the minors. He was very good up till AA. AAA got roughed up a little bit. Now you're going against a professional lineup tonight in a hitter's ballpark. I'm going to keep it simple again. First 5 innings, I'm going to go run line on the New York Yankees, a rested New York Yankees squad to win and be up after 5 innings. I'll take Cole over the young kid any day of the week. It's a minus 130 price, but give me that 1-run lead after 5. I'm cashing this ticket. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, and so Anderson probably won't go deep in this game like you already said in the first 5 innings. He might go 2-3 innings at most. The Yankees will score some runs, and then you'd expect like Touki Toussaint to come in and go for the other 3 innings. And Touki Toussaint, we had numbers on him in the MLB, right? He has a 7.97 ERA, a 5.93 FIP. Now, this is just speculation. I don't know if he's going to pitch, but that's my guess. So, again, it's speculation that Toussaint comes in for Anderson. I do think the Yankees score against Anderson. I do think that they score against Touki Toussaint when they're in need of another pitcher for the Braves. So, for me, I think the Yankees over on their team total, probably around 5.5 at this point. It's probably not that bad. Like it's a high. It's too high for me, but it's probably a number that's going to hit. So yeah, I like the Yankees over on their team total. Of course, you could look at it's probably 3.5 in the first 5 innings, around that area. So that's probably good as well. The Yankees minus 1.5 on the run line, probably good. Yankees first 5 minus 0.5, probably good as well. So I think anywhere you look at it, it's the Yankees in this game. Maybe even parlay the Yankees on the money line with another team in the future that we talk about, another heavy favorite that could win. So, yeah, Yankees all around for me in this one.
No, I completely agree with you there. I'm going to take the veteran, the ace on the mound versus a guy that's going to say, hey, it's the Yankees. Maybe if they're going up against the Brewers, which we're going to talk about next, might fare a little bit better. But rested and ready Yankees coming in this game with a pretty decent lineup. I think they'll do some damage. 967, 968, 8:10 tonight Eastern first pitch. Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Castillo, and Woodruff. About a 50-50 ticket split here. And a nice line here, Jason. Opens up offshore at SBRodds.com around 115. Stays at that level. We're seeing 114s, 111s, 108s. But a total for the game that opened at 9, now sits across the board at 8. 2 good pitching matchups in this one. Castillo, I give the edge to, just because I look at that Brewers lineup and the weighted on base averages on the season, now that we're about 30 games in, it's a disaster all the way through. So you're hoping they turn the corner, but hoping and praying and trying to get these guys to get bats, that's not a way that's going to put money back in your pocket. So I'm going to flip it and say, you know what? I think the Reds will do just enough to win this game. But again, I just have an under vibe on this game. Under 8.5 minus 133 is the way I'll sit on here, Jason. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I like that too. And I think the Reds can edge this game out. Of course, every time I take the Reds, something bad happens, and every time I go against the Brewers, something bad happens. So this one's really tough for me. Of course, I'm not. It seems like I'm not reading these two teams very well, but for me, Castillo, a 4.44 ERA, but a 2.07 FIP. Of course, he's been pretty bad throughout the entire season, a lot worse than you would have expected. But his numbers in the metrics, they're a lot better than his ERA or his runs allowed. His BABIP is 0.403. That's got to digress at some point. That's got to decrease at some point. Getting 57.5% of ground balls this season, so it's a high amount of ground balls too. He's looked okay. Like it's weird. Striking out 12.3 batters per 9 innings, 3.42 walks per 9 innings. A little high, of course. Not allowing many home runs. I think just 1 home run on the entire season. So for Castillo, I think he bounces back against a bad Brewers offense. Of course, the Brewers scored 4 runs versus Bauer, but still only scored 4 runs in that game. It's not like they're an offensive powerhouse, even though they're able to score off of Bauer. So for me, I think Castillo's the better pitcher going up against Woodruff, who has a 3.17 FIP, a 3.23 FIP or ERA, 53.6% ground balls, also 9.68 strikeouts per 9 innings, 2.35 walks per 9 innings. He's looked really good too. That's why it's a tough game for me. I think the under 4.5 in the first 5 is a good play. It's sitting at minus 141, so a little bit high in the juice. So maybe going under 8.5 would be the play instead of looking at that 4.5 and just going full game, because we saw the bullpens really hold it down. Obviously, if the Brewers are ahead, Hader looks really good in the closing role as well. But for me, I think the Reds will be ahead in this game. I like Reds plus 102. I think that's the better play here, especially if you're getting underdog value on the Reds with Castillo on the mound, who has a 2.07 FIP, which is one of the best numbers in the league this season so far. So I don't have a play on this one. I want to take the Reds really badly, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, it's hard to trust that Milwaukee team. I was hoping for much better at the beginning of the season. We'll see how it plays out tonight, but I just feel comfortable with the under. I'd be surprised if this game ends up 6-4. I'm looking more in that 4-2 type range. 971, 972, Oakland and Texas. Minaya, the lefty, going against Gibson. 8 out of 10 tickets are coming in on Oakland. And I guess when you just look at Texas's lineup and what they have to offer, it's not really a surprise here. They open up at minus 165 offshore, sitting in that same range. If we look at the total that opened at 9, that now sits at 8.5 across the board. When you take a look at Minaya, he's got a really high ERA, but his xFIP numbers in Sierra are a lot lower. So maybe you're getting the better pitcher, even though on the surface of the ERA doesn't look that good, but the underlying metrics say that Minaya should be better than Gibson tonight. Gibson in that range of 4.7, 4.8 with his Sierra. But I'm just going to keep it simple again. First 5 innings, last night it worked out. Even got, first inning, I had the team total Rangers over 1.5 in the first 5 innings. They covered that up real quick with a base hit in the first inning. I think they can get some runs, and I'm not asking for a lot in this game. I'm going to go first 5 innings over 4.5 with these two squads here. I just think I see a 3-2, 4-2 type game after 5. Who knows what happens in the bullpen? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going with a little bit of runs here. But again, don't love this game. But if we picked it out, that's the way I'm going here.
Yeah, and Minaya hasn't had a quality start all season long. He had a solid outing in his last one, but again, hasn't had a quality start in any of his starts this season. So you're looking at a couple runs. Even if it's against the Rangers, who are a pretty awful offense, haven't played well at all of last week, and going into this week, I don't expect much out of the Rangers either. So Minaya, he's a guy that gets a lot of hard contact. So you get a little scared with Joey Gallo at the plate or Todd Frazier at the plate, guys that have so much power. But then again, also gets 46.7% of ground balls. So yeah, I think Minaya is the better pitcher. Of course, Gibson, he's a guy that will get many swinging strikes, gets solid ground ball rate as well for the Rangers. But he has also allowed multiple runs in his last 4 starts and has a boatload of hits, 22 hits in his last 3 starts. So I'm with you there. I think that there will be some runs in this game. I had over 8.5 as a lean, also like the Athletics at minus 175. So I definitely think that over in the first 5 innings can definitely hit as well in this game.
No, I agree with you there. 977, 978, Colorado and Arizona. Marquez and Young, about a 50-50 ticket split here. This line opened up roughly around a pick'em. Jason still staying at a pick'em. And if we take a look across the board, opens up at 9 as a total. That now sits at 9.5. I got to tell you, it seems like a high number, 9.5 between these two pitchers here, because when you take a look, both Marquez and also Young have pretty good xFIP numbers and also Sierra numbers. Two offenses that, I like Colorado's offense, but I like them a lot more in Colorado. And that Arizona lineup doesn't seem to be clicking right now. If I'm going to get a game that's going to take 10 to beat me here, Jason, even though I think that roof's going to be open late, maybe some late inning magic, I'm going to sit on the under 9.5 in this game. I think I see a 5-3 type ball game here, if that, but both of these pitchers have decent numbers. I'll ride and stick to those trends there. I'm going under 9.5 in this game.
Yeah, so I have the Rockies minus 115 in the first 5 innings. So I'm banking on German Marquez. He allowed 10 earned runs in his last start. So I'm hoping for a bounce-back performance from him. After that 10 earned run performance, still had a 4.38 ERA, a 3.15 FIP. So Marquez has been a lot better than just that start. I do expect a bounce back. We know that the Astros can do some damage against any pitcher this season. Of course, we saw last night how the Astros just came out and just destroyed. So I'm not really too worried about Marquez. I do think he gets back on track, especially against this Diamondbacks team that's been really bad offensively throughout the entire week. And even last night, they just scored 2 runs against the Rockies with the Rockies 3-2 victory. The Rockies, of course, struggled a lot last week as well. Got that win, got some momentum going, and now have their ace pitcher on the mound, which is German Marquez, who, of course, allowed 10 earned runs in 5 innings in his last start. But I do expect him to bounce back and pitch well. Young, on the other hand, more of a relief pitcher. He's now been slotted into the starting role. He allows heavy hard contact, does get a solid swinging strike rate. Young, he's allowed 3 earned runs in 4 innings pitched in his last start versus the Athletics. Gets high strikeouts, low walks, but again, that hard contact, and he allowed 3 earned runs in 4 innings in his last start. If he allows just a couple runs like that in the first 5 innings, I think Marquez holds it down versus the Diamondbacks that have been really struggling offensively. And Marquez, he's a guy with ace stuff. He's a great pitcher, had a poor performance. I do think he bounces back just like Frankie Montes did for the Athletics, or other pitchers that we could talk about who have had really poor outings and bounced back to solid outings after that. So I like Marquez here. Yeah, like I said, a guy didn't pitch well in his last start, but I do expect him to pitch well in this game.
283 live in the chat box here with us. We are about 10 minutes away from going over some best bets and bankers. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button down below. But also, if you came in late, you missed the show, click on the link below, www.sbrpicks.com/MLB. You can see the replays there. You can see the write-ups there. Jason's information is there. Everything you need to be to be a better Major League Baseball better right here at sportsbookview.com. Let's open it up to some added games and some added bonus. Let's head down to the Trop, 955, 956, Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Tommy Malone versus Glass now. About 6 out of every 10 tickets here actually coming in on Baltimore, and say, well, how could that be? Well, you're also looking at a big number here. Tampa Bay opens up a minus 200. It actually sits even higher. Some outlets in New Jersey, Jason, showing minus 225 as a favorite for the Rays. The total opens up at 8.5. Now we're seeing 7.5 across the board. But I got to tell you, if you're just looking at names and teams here, yes, Tampa Bay should be the better team. Glasnow's ERA is elevated this year, but when you take a look at some of the xFIP and the Sierras between both Malone and Glasnow, they are similar. Is this one of those games where you say, you know what? I know there's usually not a lot of runs down in Tampa Bay. They're not an explosive lineup. Can Baltimore be a pricey dog here by getting plus 180 to plus 190? That's the way I would lean in this game, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. I had Orioles as a plus 190 value play.
Yeah. And
also, I'm seeing over-unders at 7.5, which is just crazy to me. I think he'll go over 7.5. Glasnow, he's walking 5.57 batters per 9 innings this season. It's 6 ERA, a 4.17 FIP. Of course, his xFIP is 3.58. So a little bit misleading. But again, 5.57 walks per 9 innings. And we've seen the Orioles, they faced Scherzer before. They scored runs off of Scherzer. They're an offense that's just able to figure it out against these better pitchers. They're just an offense that is doing a lot better than we've ever expected this season. Tommy Malone, on the other hand, for the Orioles, 9.38 strikeouts per 9 innings, just 1.13 walks per 9 innings as well. 3.21 FIP, 4.13 ERA, exit velocity 88.6, where Glasnow 91.7 exit velocity there. So it's an even matchup. In my opinion, Malone even has the higher WAR out of these two starters, when they both went 5 starts this season, Malone has actually went 3 more innings than Glasnow in those 5 starts as well. I think the Orioles have the edge here at plus 190. So if you want that value play, if you want that underdog, the Orioles seem like the play, and even over 7.5 seems like a give me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in that. And even if you take a look at, sometimes you try to put a little bit of an exotic touch on the game. Even if you're looking to have these two pitchers match up, take the bullpens out and you take the first 5 innings, you can still get a plus number even on a reverse run line with the Baltimore Orioles. So if it's 2-2 at the end of 5, you got the plus half run, you win that one. Or of course, if they just win it outright, sometimes it's nice where you don't anticipate a ton of runs. If Baltimore could scratch out 1 or 2 runs over 5 innings, you might be in for a decent shot here. 959, 960, the Chicago Cubs and the Detroit Tigers. Chatwood versus Turnbull. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on Detroit in this one. Chicago opens up as a favorite. They weren't sure where the pitcher was going to be today, but Chatwood will be the starter. Opened up at 135, now sitting in that 125 range. The over-under hasn't changed much. 9.5 it opens, 9.5 across the board. When you take a look at Turnbull, does have a decent ERA here, but his Sierra number is a little bit elevated, about 5.34. And who would have ever thought when we're taking a look at some of these underlying metrics here that Tyler Chatwood would have an xFIP of 2.71 and a Sierra of 2.91? Because you originally look and say, hey, he's got a 5.40 xFIP, or should be 5.40 ERA. He's going to get lit up. Not so much the case here. I like the Cubs in this spot, but I do think the Cubs are going to be able to hit. So if we're taking a look at team totals, maybe a first 5 team total over with the Cubs, parlay with a full game team total 4.5, similar to what we had last night or what I had last night with the Houston Astros. I think they can tack onto the bullpen if need be. You saw last night 3-run home run in the 9th inning. I believe it was by Baez. So a lot of runs can be had here. I think Chicago's the better team in this spot. I'll go with them.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. The Cubs are a way better team. Turnbull has actually not looked too great in his last couple of starts. He had a great start to the season, but that's starting to trend a little bit down. He's now averaging 5.47 walks per 9 innings, a 3.54 FIP, still pretty good, 3.65 ERA. But again, hasn't looked good in his last 2 starts. So these numbers are basically looking at his first 2 starts, or his first 3 starts that looked really good, and those last 2 starts that weren't too great. Chatwood, he's a guy that has looked pretty good throughout the entire season so far. He's now striking out 13.8 batters per 9 innings and just walking 2.4 per 9 innings as well. Been a little bit unlucky with BABIP, which is 4.417. So that's going to definitely decrease, as he continues to pitch. So that 5.4 ERA should definitely decrease as well. Not getting ground balls as much as you'd expect out of Chatwood, 39.50 on the season. But again, Chatwood at 2.64 FIP, definitely the better pitcher. Has those high strikeout numbers. Look at those Tigers. They strike out a ton, 30.4% of the time. So Chatwood will get his strikeouts as well. So you might even look at the Cubs in the first 5 innings just to get this win. So, it could be interesting for sure. But yeah, I definitely like the Cubs in this one. Maybe first 5, maybe full game. The Cubs all around are the better team. Even though Turnbull might be the better pitcher, hasn't performed like the better pitcher in the last 2 games. So it's not an official play for me now. But now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking maybe Cubs will be a play. So definitely look back in a couple hours to see my official plays, and Cubs might be there.
Let it wash over you, Jason. Those Cubbies, come on. We can all get on this bandwagon here. Over 300 people watching live in the chat box. 51 likes, 0 dislikes. We want to thank you for that. All the interaction we love. And also, we come on here each and every day. 66,700 people have hit that subscribe button and changed it on YouTube from red to gray. That's all we ask of you there. Let's keep moving here. I saw somebody in the chat box saying, oh, here we go. Sabino says, please cover the Pirates versus White Sox if possible. I have the White Sox run line for my biggest bet of the baseball season. And me and Jason were talking before the show, and I'm scratching my head going, I'm going to get all these power bats with extremely good ISOs and weighted on base averages against Stephen Brault, righties versus lefties. Where do I sign up? Well, looks like everybody else thinking the same thing, Jason. Opens up at minus 205, now sits around that 250 range with an over-under of 9 across the board. I like what I see. They should hit. Here's what I would be surprised by. At the end of 5 innings, Stephen Brault has pitched 5 innings, 3 hits, and 1 earned run. I think the White Sox can get to him and get to him early, because the one thing you like about the White Sox, those increased ISO numbers, Jason, is anytime, any inning, any guy can leave the ballpark, and that is huge for a team total. We don't need 3 hits to score a run with the White Sox. You basically just need Jose Abreu and Eloy Jimenez go nuts and pop off a couple. I'm going the team total first 5 innings over 2.5. I think they get 3 off of Brault here. What are you thinking?
Yes, I'm 100% on the White Sox. I know everyone in the chat's on 100% on the White Sox. Brault, he's screwed me over a couple times. I've went against him before. Of course, the Pirates haven't won a game with Brault on the mound, so those were first 5 bets where somehow, some way, he was able to do well. So yeah, I don't think he's going to do well. I'm never a fan of Brault, so 100% on the White Sox in this game. That's one of the reasons why I haven't taken it though. Because Brault has screwed me over in the past. But maybe a Chicago parlay would be the play here, looking at these Cubs and the White Sox going up against the Tigers and the Pirates, 2 of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
You get those Chicago teams, maybe a parlay there. Maybe we're on to something, Chicago parlay. Maybe looking at the Chicago over the team total parlays. Whatever you want to look at, maybe the Chicago parlay will be the way to go in this day. So yeah, that might be a play for me. I'm gonna definitely look to see what I want to do with these Chicago teams. But yeah, I'm high on both these Chicago teams and haven't pressed the button yet, but I want to.
No, look, when you're taking a look at the North Siders and the South Siders joining forces for a parlay, it's like we used to see the superpowers back in wrestling, like Randy Macho Man Savage and Hulk Hogan giving that handshake, like, oh yeah, brother. Let's see what happens. It looks easy. I mean, I joke about some things where I say, how do I do that? But I see somebody in the chat box as well says the same, because I'm always a pessimistic guy where I can see in the 4th inning, like, hey, who knew Cy Brault was going to be on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight? So we'll see how that one plays out. 969, 970, Harvey and Wainwright, Kansas City and St. Louis. 8 out of 10 tickets coming on St. Louis. Line isn't moving all that much, but it's still expensive for Wainwright. 190s to 200 with a 9 across the board. Look, I know they're just trying to get some innings out of Matt Harvey. I don't have a great feel for this game, but it's always interesting to see these guys that are fighting for just a job now in Major League Baseball. And we thought Harvey would have been the Mets centerpiece and still being the Mets centerpiece to this day. I don't have a great feel in the game, Jason, but I know you know Harvey well. Any thoughts on this Kansas City-St. Louis game?
Yeah, I mean, look, Harvey looked a little bit better with his strikeouts in the beginning of the game against the Reds, but then that 3rd inning or 4th inning started allowing some home runs, some big hard contact, and that's what he's been doing since he left the Mets now. But I'm not really high on Wainwright either. He allows a pretty high walk rate, does allow some hard contact, gets a low amount of swing strikes as well. So I think if you're going to make a play in this game, I like the over 9 in this one. I hate going against Harvey. That's why I'm not taking the game, but I do think Harvey gets shelled in this one. But I do think Wainwright isn't, he's looked good this season so far, 2 ERA, 3.39 FIP, but there are some underlying stats where it's like, all right, he's going to blow up at some point. He just hasn't had the opportunity to blow up because, the Cardinals were on COVID watch for, a big portion of the season so far. So I think the over 9 is the play in this game. If I had to pick a team, obviously it would be the Cardinals over Harvey, but I'm not going to do that and hurt my boy's feelings. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the over 9 in this one.
I mean, do you get upset, Jason, that you could have a poster above your bed right now that has Harvey, Syndergaard, and DeGrom as the leaders of the new Generation K for the Mets? So, hey, is what it is. We'll see how it takes place. Let's go over one more game, Jason, before we give out some best bets and bankers. And we'll go on the West Coast, 979, 980. The Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, Urias versus Cueto. If we take a look, 6 out of every 10 tickets coming in on the Dodgers. They open up at 195. They sit mostly at least $2 across the board with a total of 9. But I got to tell you, I've won some money over the past week and a half, specifically with the Giants being at home. They average like 6 runs every home game, and it's not a lot of guys that are household names doing it, but it just seems like they are attacking the fastball. They are getting on base, not waiting around, and it's been working out. And when I look at Urias, is he the better pitcher than Cueto? You would think he is. He has better stuff, but some of the metrics that are underlying that shows he can get hit here. I'm just going to lean on what's worked best. San Francisco team total. I don't want to mess with the Dodgers bullpen at all. Give me the first 5 San Francisco Giants team total in this one. I think they could scratch out some runs early here.
Yeah, the Giants have played really well as of late. Of course, the Dodgers have too. This is a game where you have 2 pitchers that have already faced each other, already faced the opposition before. So I think that usually that means that there's going to be some more hits in this game and batters feel more comfortable and play a lot better. So I like the over 9.5 in this game. I obviously side with the Dodgers at minus 195, but of course the juice is way too high for me to actually take the Dodgers in this game. So instead, I look at over 9.5 in this game. So looks like on the West Coast, we're going to have some high-scoring games.
No, and I look, I just I hate Gabe Kapler. I hate that Giants team. They look awful when you look at the lineup, but when they're running hot, sometimes you have to take them. And this is another one of those games, Jason, where I just say a 1.5 over the first 5 innings. Give me a walk. Give me one solid swing of the bat, and you can cover it quickly. Same thing with the Rangers last night. Now, the time has come here, Jason. Got through almost the entire card. Usually we leave out some of these doubleheader games. 35 minutes, full card. Let's get some winners tonight. Yesterday was very profitable for me. I'm going to see if I can extend it, and I'm going to stick with 2 team totals and one we just went over and one a little bit earlier here. Chicago White Sox, team total first 5 innings. I'm going against Brault. If he shuts it down, you tip the cap and you move on. But that is a team total of 2.5, a little bit expensive here at minus 135. And then I'm also going to double down second half late night Major League Baseball, which is good for me that I take a first 5 because hopefully I could be a bet at a decent hour. San Francisco's been good to me. The Padres have been good to me. I'm going to take San Francisco's team total first 5 innings of over 1.5. It's only minus 120. Give me 2 runs and pick up that win. I think it's going to be a good night for me here, Jason. I know it's going to be a good night for you. Take it away. Give out some winners here.
Yeah, I love those 2 plays. And so I'm going to go that first 5 route and look at the Blue Jays minus 118 in the first 5 innings over the Red Sox and Kevin Hart. And then we'll go on to the Rockies at minus 115 in the first 5 innings as well over the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks offense has been really struggling, and I expect Marquez to get back on track. Of course, I might have one or a couple more plays later on. I'm still debating on these Chicago games, so might have a couple more. So just check back to my Twitter at around maybe 5:30, where I'll post the all the plays and the the replay of this show.
330 people watching live. We do thank you for that. Hey, look at this. 69 thumbs up, none down. Boy, talking about landing on the perfect number right there. But we do want to thank you for tuning in today. And again, our design is to try to put some money in, have some fun, get in and out. Your time is money. And we certainly appreciate you guys coming in and checking out the show. Tomorrow's Hump Day. We'll do it again, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For Donnie Seymour, how about that one? I'm Donnie Seymour. And for Jason Radowitz, this is the SportsbookReview.com Major League Baseball show.